experiences of the characters. Do you think this use of humor is appropriate? Explain your thoughts.
I think some of it is a little bit too far. Like we kind of went into that in the last question. You know, a lot of the humor is kind of acceptable, makes us realize how stupid we are for thinking this is funny. But I think it was on page 97, Timmy and Greg were calling Jin like racist names, and I don't know if that was supposed to be funny, but Timmy and Greg were kind of laughing at it. So I think in some situations it goes a little bit too far.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And also, like, just the pictures. I mean, if someone just like said, "Oh, this person was being racist," like, yeah, that's bad. But when you actually see it in in the book, if you actually see it in school and like just look at like the exaggeration of the pictures, it's just terrible.
Yeah, I thought that Gene Yang used the humor really good to keep the reader engaged in the book. By using the humor in the way that Gene Yang did, I think it really drew me as a reader closer to some of the characters by laughing at them at sometimes and feeling sorry for them at other times. One instance where I felt sorry for a character is you can feel that painful experience on page 48 for Danny. Shoot, I wish I had the book. Can I borrow this for a second? Yeah, you can feel the pain for Danny because like Chinky first gets introduced and he's kind of embarrassing Danny in front of his girl that he brought over. So I definitely felt the pain there.
I agree with mostly agree with you guys, but you said that like makes us like feel stupid for laughing, but like I feel that the book wants us to laugh about it, but also see the other side of it, because like like most of the books throughout, or most of the panels throughout the book have like the ha 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 at the bottom. It's like wanting us to laugh about it, but also being aware of how bad the stereotypes are.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Rob. I think the use of humor is appropriate because like making painful experiences funny can make the reader want to keep reading on. Like on page 30, when Jin Wang's teacher says Jin is from China when he actually came from San Francisco, I think that's kind of funny. And if it was just about like sad experiences, people might not want to keep reading on.
I agree with that. Like, I mean, we all read the book sophomore year, Persepolis, and in that they used the humor and everything to try to keep it a little lighter. And I think that if they didn't have some humor within the book, it just would have been like too intense to be done in like a graphic novel format.
Yeah, I agree with everyone else that I think it's fine to like laugh at it, but you also have to like realize that like some of the things are kind of offensive and probably shouldn't be said to people in real life. And I also think like you have to remember like Chin-Ki is like all of the like stereotypes and like names that like Jin and like everyone else are like afraid of being called, like it's all of their like fears and like all of their like stereotypes encapsulated into one. So like it's okay to laugh, but you also have to think.
For mine, I picked out like a part where he actually was like, I think he was hurting when Danny was using it, or it was used on page 126 and 127 when he was talking to his friend about like how he has issues with Chinky whenever he comes to visit, and like how he was a junior and has already had to switch schools 3 times because every single time like he switches a school and then like gets into it and like gets like used to being there and makes friends, like Chinky comes to visit and just kind of like messes everything up. And so I think that that's like a point where like humor isn't, but like you can see like how it is like affecting people.
I think the use of humor is appropriate because he's trying to get across about discrimination, but like also he shows like the other side of it. For example, on page 114, Chin-Ki's eating Chinese food and Jin's glaring at him, but he's Chinese too. So it shows like all of them don't like follow the stereotypes.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Andy and Allison about how it just shows both ends of like the spectrum, and like how in the end Jin like finally like understands, I guess, like that he like can't escape from like who he truly is, and he has to just deal with like everything that's being like said about him like throughout like school and just like life in general.
I also agree with Annie. I think that we have to keep in mind that Chinky is like kind of has like all the stereotypes that a Chinese person might have. And also, I think that the author is using these stereotypes in like an extreme way to be able to like get her or his point across.
I said no. I don't think that like the humor Gene Yang uses within the novel is appropriate. I just because like an example is like Chinky. It's like on page 50 and 51, the main Chinese stereotype is Chinky because he says like he like is like such plebby like American. He's like making everything sound like not American. Like American, he says American because like the Asian accents. I thought that was kind of like honestly stereotypical, and then yeah, that's mainly like I just don't like at times it's fine, but like other times it's not. So yeah.
Yeah, I think to an extent the humor is appropriate because like Rob said, it makes you like want to keep going on. Like first, like when the teacher was introducing Jin Wang, like I feel like that when that made me want to go on. So like I feel like to an extent, and like the author is just, I feel like he's just really trying to like bring out awareness of like racism, so like the Chinese stereotype and like how you can apply it to like every other stereotype, and I feel like that's pretty much it. That's like to an extent.
Yeah, so the humor was pretty good. I like the way she like put it together, like made this book pretty interesting to read. I feel like if there was no humor, it would be like pretty boring. If I would be interested in like all the racism stuff. But like from time to time, I came across like panels that like were supposed to be funny, but didn't really find them funny. But like I feel like the haha on the bottom kind of like forced you to laugh at them, even though like inside it's wrong to laugh at it. So I just want to point that out, like on page 118, like he peed and spoke. It was kind of like absurd. But yeah, that's about it.
And I would say, yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of humor, especially it made this book. If you didn't have any humor in this book, it would be a pretty boring book. We wouldn't enjoy it. And I mean, personally, especially obviously Chinky was a source of lots of the humor. And there was other stuff like with the Monkey King that was kind of funny. But like every time I saw Chinky on the page, I just smiled just because I knew that he was going to do something funny. And so I definitely think that it added to the book.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like when I was like reading or like going through the book, I wanted to read his story more than the others.
I have a question. Do you think that the humor and the book would have been as well received if it was a white person who had written the book?
Well,
Not at all.
I don't feel like they would be able to like share because like aren't these like personal stories?
Yeah.
It's like he knows how it feels. Like I feel like if it was like the other way around, like someone white went to like somewhere else and like they were made fun of, like I think that we would all just like feel different about the book from the perspective.
And even if it was like a white person that had written this book, I don't think we would have received it very well because it would have just been seen as like.
Well, probably not us, but like, yeah, like I mean, if you showed this book to the white person, but like in China, then probably they would receive it the same way.
Oh, I meant like the author of the book had been.
Yeah.
I mean, usually what I would see what you see in general, like this whole book, the main stereotype is like making fun of like the Chinese people basically. And so if a white person did that, it would be racist. Now like books or like TV shows that you see with white like creators or whatever that are racist, I think that's different because they usually make fun of every single group, including white people. So I think it's not as well received if you have one particular group making fun of a different particular group for the entire time, if that makes sense.
I think the author really like shows the different kind of like humor, what's okay to laugh at and what's not okay to laugh at. There's certain times where like I think the author tried to appeal to the general readers and like get them laughing. But then there's also jokes like on page 96 where you see the people in the back, I think they're just some random people. They said, hey, I think it's getting a little nippy out here. I'm talking about, you're right, I'm getting gook bumps. Like that's something that you don't laugh at, and that's something that the author did very well.
I think that the humor was used as more of like or it was like more of a secondary like goal for like the author, and then like his actual like reasoning behind like trying to make those like jokes and stuff was just to show like how mean like stereotypes can be, and then also just like how ridiculous they can be like at their extreme.
I agree. I think if like it was like a white person writing this book, that they would try too hard to like put like stereotypes in, but like not get them across in like the right way. And so I think the author did like a really good job doing that.
I agree with Rob that that Jin crossed the line when he was writing this book, and I think that's really important how the story is written, because it shows that we should feel bad about these things happening